Hey, everybody. We're live. It's Always Bookin Comedy. It's Monday night. We got Nick Holmby from Dude IDK here. You are still muted. I'm going to talk while I think you're working on that. Give me a thumbs up if you're working on that. And I don't know if you can hear me. We'll see. I can't hear you. Might need to refresh. I don't know. I'll talk for a little bit. Had a show last night. Did Castle Rock comedy show at a theater down in Castle Rock. Losing that venue, really story of my life recently. Losing lots of venues. They're going out of business. You're still muted, Nick. I don't know. You can see it in your little, like where your name is. It's got the cross through it. I can't hear you. So anyways, did a show last night, strong ticket sales, a bunch of comps. People didn't show up. That's always a bummer, but we had 7 comedians on the showcase. Yeah, so here's a viewer online, can hear Mark, but not Nick. We're going to just keep chatting myself until he figures it out. Maybe you got some kind of recording stuff going on that's like taking the audio. I don't know. But you're still on my end. I just see a slash through a microphone next to your name. What else can I tell you guys? I did a show a couple days prior, and I'm doing so many shows I can't even remember what it was. Let me look at the old calendar. That's right. It was Thursday night. It was Aurora comedy show. Lace Larrabee, who was performing up in. You're still. I can't hear you. You're working on it. Okay, cool. Lace Larrabee, she was doing a comedy fort. Very nice for her. Flew in a night early. She was doing Friday, Saturday night up in Fort Collins. Came and did my show on Thursday night, which was great. We did a special album recording, which was kind of interesting. We had 3 4K cameras, 5 microphones, all good, I would say, except for the hassle of having to break it all down after the show. Usually I can get out of a show pretty quickly, even though I have tons of equipment, stage, lighting, etc. How are we getting an update? Why don't you type me an update here? Love the backdrop, Nick. Looking good. You could join on your phone if you want. I mean, that's a quick. We only got 26 minutes left. All right, he's trying to figure that out. What was I going to say? We are, oh yeah. So I taped the whole thing. If anybody has questions about taping somebody's special, it was a 25-minute kind of mini special. And let's see, Nick is trying to reconnect. We're going to see if he's on, or else I'll tell you more about Aurora comedy show. Nope, he disappeared. I wonder if he's trying to call me because my phone is charging in a different room. I don't know how to, I'm not that fancy to know. But anyways, I'll just keep talking. If there are questions out there, you ask those questions. We did the taping. Got to know about phantom power, everybody. You need that phantom power turned on your Zoom recorder when you're using unpowered mics, which almost every mic is, unless you're getting sound out of an amplified soundboard. What else? Lighting, so important. Lighting, very important. I'm real curious for the feedback from the comic. We'll see. There was so much data. He just gave me a hard drive, and it took like, I don't know, 20 minutes to dump all those files onto the hard drive. And then last night I gave the hard drive to a different comedian. I don't quite know what to do here. I think what I'm going to do is go. Maybe I can just. I'm gonna text Nick real quick and just let him know that I don't have my phone in case he's calling. Oh, he did text me. Let me send him the link. All right. Man, this could be a long solo episode if I got to drag this out and we got to reschedule Nick, but we'll see. So we did the Thursday show. Who else was on the show? Sammy Beeson, hilarious local comedian. Just won the Colorado Springs Comedy Festival. Very exciting, very funny. Last time I worked with her. Oh, my audio is cutting in and out. Interesting. Here he comes. He's coming back.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sweet. We got 24 minutes. Let's rock and roll.
Cool.
We got a quick question online, and then we'll get back on with Nick. Any luck or contacts, attempts on a replacement venue? I'll talk about it next episode. All kinds of stuff. In Castle Rock, no luck. In my 2 other venues that I lost, I replaced both of those, but we can talk about that another time. Nick Holmby, Denver, Colorado. Incredible. I know him as a photographer. He is incredible, just a real wizard artist. Shot the first 2 Vail comedy festivals, and those pictures are all over the place online. Gorgeous. He's the best. And he's got his own physical studio now, which we're going to talk about. I don't know much about it. I tried to visit once, and we were like ships passing in the night and missed each other. So Nick, what's going on in that studio? I hear good things.
So yeah, we're doing a little bit of everything. I mean, if you ask me what I'm doing, I'm going to say, dude, I don't know, because it's a little bit of everything. I mean, we started evolving into a full-time podcast studio during the day, doing a lot of comedy shows at night. I just did a photo shoot today. This kind of turned into a little bit of everything. As long as you have a creative mind, we have a creative way to do it. We have a green screen. We have a bunch of photo paper. It's kind of like a little place for creatives to be able to be creative without having to spend $1,000 or hundreds of dollars to do it. Because as that creator, I could never find a spot that would charge less than $200 an hour. Whereas you want my space, I give it to you for $300 for the day. Because I don't believe that creativity should be stopped, especially financially. So
nice. Tell us more. So we usually talk about people running shows. So let's talk about the comedy shows. Do you remember the very first comedy show you ran? What was it in that space?
I mean, if you consider it, I managed Comedy Works for 4.5 years.
Right. No, I mean at your new space. We might get into that, but yeah.
So in September was our first show we did. We put like all of our real good friends, like the David Rodriguez, Lizzie Wolfson, Austin Black, a bunch of those guys. Had a really cool showcase just to see how it went. And it overwhelmingly went really well. I wanted to test the marketing on that aspect of, I'm not going to pay for anything. I want to pass out flyers. I want to do very guerrilla style marketing. And so I was really worried. I'm like, you know what? No pressure. There's a lot of pressure, but there's also no pressure. And we sold it out.
I know this, but the audience doesn't. Like, describe your space. I know it's smaller. Like, how many seats do you have? Or how many seats do you have back then?
Yeah, I could fit up to 63. I usually just fit 60. And I'll have a wait list if that's the case. If people show up at the door, then I have a few extra spots, but I tap it out at 60. I've always wanted to have a smaller venue that isn't a bigger theater, isn't a bigger room. There are rooms like that, it's whatever. But having a smaller space that's pretty compact is very comedy friendly. And like when Mark Masters was in town and he hears about it and he goes, that's exactly what Denver needs, because there's 100 of them in Brooklyn. There's 200 of them in New York, and Denver had nothing like it. Everything's at breweries, everything's at pizza spots, whatever. But we haven't had an established spot that's like that. So that motivated me to be like.
Did you have a specific New York City mini club or whatever you'd call it that you were impressed with?
No. After I opened the studio, I found one. I forget the name of it, but they only sit 35 people.
Okay.
So it's a lot shorter than mine, but theirs is very, I don't know if it has fire code. I'm not a narc. I'm not going to do that stuff. But, with that said, it's very much, in the same of mine, very container style, like a shipment container style, or it's very long.
Okay.
And the cool thing about my spot is we run shows all the way. The stage over here, or next week the stage will be over here, or the stage will be here. The idea is to have, when people want to run a show, they like a show that looks the way they want it to look. So if they want that, the frames as the background, or they want the black curtain as a background, or the green curtain with the lights, which is what I usually prefer. We can kind of set up to however. So yeah.
So what was something that first show? You're pretty a detail guy. Like, you're at that show, things were going great, you packed it out, you got great comedians. But what was like one thing that like bothered you a little bit that you went on to improve?
We didn't have air conditioner at all.
What time of year was it?
Oh God. So we started, our first show was in September, our first official IDK show, but we had a show in August that was a Don't Tell practice show.
Okay.
And the producer of Don't Tell showed up and they plugged their speaker in and it immediately blew. And so they're all sitting there thinking, what do we do? And I'm like, man, the show's in an hour exactly. I'm 30 minutes away from Guitar Center. I need a speaker anyway. So I ran to Guitar Center, picked up a speaker, kind of said, hey, what do you got? I'll overspend in this moment because if I come tomorrow, I'm gonna be cheap.
Yeah.
So bought a really good speaker, came in, plugged it in. I remember my buddy who just showed up for our first show, and he's an audio engineer. He goes, "Do you want me to look at it?" I was like, "Nope. I don't care if it's on concert. I don't care if the treble's super high. We'll hold our mics down. Plug it in into a surge protector, might I add, and let's do the show." And the entire show, I'm watching people fan themselves, being like, "Holy shit, this sucks." I had to mount like house fans in the ceilings. I had to mount those like swivel fans. I had to put those on the floor, behind, in the back. My storage unit has 8 fans in it, and I can't get rid of them. I can't. I was trying to give them the Denver Comedy Underground. We know what happened there.
Yeah.
I just can't get rid of these fans. So if anyone's looking for a fan, you know where to
In
find
Denver, we got free fans or cheap fans.
them.
So do you have air conditioning now? How did you
Oh,
resolve that?
it's the best. It still gets warm, but it's a packed 60-person room. It's gonna get warm. People
Yeah.
breathe really
Is
hard.
it like central air, or is it some kind of like it's got like one of those tubes running out a window somewhere?
No, it's central air. I mean, I worked on it from August until April trying to get the air conditioner work. We had 8 different engineers in here, couldn't figure out what was going on. It was one thing or another thing or this or that. And then finally one guy's like, "I got to order this part from Japan. And it's going to be a thing. And it's going to take 8 weeks." And then this one guy came in. He's like, "I'm going to get this part from Home Depot right now." So he plugged it in, ended up getting it work.
That's amazing. Can I ask a dumb question that I don't
Yeah.
really understand? Like, do you own this building? Like, why are you figuring this out?
Because I have a landlord who owns a lot of buildings.
Okay.
So when it's like, "Hey, how are you?" It's his voicemail because he's in
Got
Argentina
it.
somewhere.
So it's easy. For you. There was a sense of urgency. So you're like, I'm just gonna figure it out
Oh,
myself.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I had the headaches of everything from the toilet breaking down, and the landlord saying, "Oh, it's only going to be a couple $100. My guy will snake it," to me having to call all these plumbers in, and everyone being like, "Oh, we're going to have to tear out the concrete and actually get into the street and block the street off for a few days." And he had his guy, his maintenance guy. That's what he had to do. He had to call a professional because he's like, "We got to get in the street." People were flushing the wrong things for several years. Who knows when it started? I got the keys, and the next day it was like, "This is wrong."
Huh.
So anything that wrong could have happened. We were supposed to have our first show in August, but because of the toilet thing, we held it off until September, and it worked out. At least it was a little cooler. I mean, the day we had Don't Tell, it was 104 degrees that day, and then by nighttime it was 94 degrees.
Brutal.
So it wasn't fun. It was a nightmare. I remember my team being like, "That was so awesome. This was great," and I was like, "This sucked. My night's ruined." They're like, "We're going to the after party." I was like, "You guys go out. I'm going to sit here in my couch and play some music that's going to be very sensual and relaxing because I'm stressed to the T right now."
So let's talk about some other basics real quick. And I have some specific questions for you. Like stage lighting. Are you guys performing on the ground? Have you improved the lighting over time? Does it hang from the ceiling? What's going on with?
I mean, as a video and photo guy, I knew right away I had to invest in the good stuff. So as soon as I got the business credit card, and I never spent it. I mean, I had my camera, my lenses, like stuff you've seen, but then it got down to asking the bank, "Hey, I'm really pushing it. Can we add a higher ceiling to this?" So at the time, got 3 lights, got these really awesome Amaran, these really lights, really kind of a light matte. It's not a big, you won't see a big bulky thing. It's really light. Hung them on the ceiling. Had to get a little creative on how to hang them, but luckily I knew like there's a lot of ways to do it. So a lot of audio websites to do it. So we do it how we do it. I remember talking to Amaran and asking, "Hey, if you guys ever come up with something, please let me know because this is what I do." And they go, "Oh wow, this is weird. We might actually just do that." So they said they're working on something. So I have what I have. It's a different company's post thing that I use, but
Do they swivel? Like you mentioned that you can have the show on 4 different walls. Do
yeah.
they?
So I have lights. I wish I had like a light track that would hold these, but I don't know anything that makes anything that would hold these days. But yeah, so they rotate. They can go 360, and I have 4 of them in my room right now. I'm just using one. These light mats are amazing. They're easy to travel with. Every comedy special I film with these guys.
What do they call? They're Amaran. What?
They're Amaran light mats. They're like the X. If one was turned around, I'd be able to see it. It's like the X something.
Okay.
They're really great. I really hated how spotlights work. I hate how spotlights look. I hate for the front row to have the spotlight on their head.
Mm-hmm.
And as a man who doesn't have a lot of hair on his head, I would hate for my spot to be shining the entire time. So I knew that I really wanted something professional, very film looking. And yeah, it's been awesome. I've had a lot of people come through and be like, wow, this is ridiculously cool looking in a room you'd never expect that to look. And I think that's kind of the point. So
yeah. Okay. So how about stage and then chairs right after that?
So I haven't built a stage
Okay.
because the way the room sits, I haven't needed to. But however, I had a couple really short comics last month where I was like, oh, I'm going to build a stage for sure. I think I'm going to really build something out. So I'm going to build something that has some light bars on the ends of them so the light kind of shines up also. Because like if you see a light like this, it kind of comes down, you see my shadow. So as a professional filmographer, all that stuff, I want to really use this light. So I'm going to build something out because if I buy something, it's going to be $1,000. If I build it out, it's going to cost me a half of that. If that, I already have the lights for it. I just need to.
I just saw a comedy show at the Paramount Theater, big theater in Denver, Andrew Schultz, and he had those up lights on 3 edges of he had like a little stage in front of the huge stage.
Yeah.
And he had those up lights. I was like, that's interesting. I might look into that because I have a 3 foot by 3 foot stage that's collapsible that I bring to almost all my shows.
I would like to see what you have because that's what I would like, a collapsible stage, because if I build something,
it's amazing. The thing is, I have multiple ones of them. I could even lend you one for like a month. And if you like,
I'd rather buy one because I know I want one. So
if
you have a link, I'll send you the link for my lights. You send me the link for your stage.
Jeremy Cash bought the same stage. It's amazing. It's great.
Okay, cool.
It's I'm trying to remember for the people watching. I'll look it up next time I ask you a question. Tell me about chairs. Have you changed your chairs at all? And how did you get 60 chairs in the first place? That's a weird thing.
So yeah, good question. So Don't Tell, BK Sherrod, who produces Don't Tell, he was really tired of having to haul chairs in and out everywhere. If I was doing a show with him, I'd have to carry the chairs and put them in his car. And I get it. It was a pain in the butt. So when it came down to it, I was like, I'm going to have to buy some chairs. He's like, honestly, dude, I'm only running Don't Tells in places that have chairs already because of the headache. Because he doesn't want to ask customers to fold up chairs for them. So I was like, I'll take them. We stacked them up for a while and ended up getting a chair rack, which is awesome. And now I keep the chairs on the chair rack. I keep them on the patio or inside. It depends on what we're running that day.
Are they those IKEA ones?
Yeah, those plain white ones.
Those are the same ones I have. I have 50 of them.
Yeah.
I'm down to 48, I think. I don't even know where the other 2 went, but I started with 50.
Yeah, I started with exact like 63 maybe, and I ended up buying there's a weird night where I was recording a comedy special that needed them, but we also had a show in the room. And so I went to IKEA and ended up buying like 40 more. So I have like 105 chairs right now.
Well, if you ever need more, I have 50. And now I know I can get
they're my nightmare. I love them, but I hate them. They're so easy, but they're also not the most comfortable chair to sit in for an hour.
Yeah, I've thought about buying those pads. IKEA sells the pads. I was like, I could probably rent/sell these to customers for like $5. Because they only cost like $5, or $10, and come back next time with it. But I don't know if they're comfortable or nice. Anyways, here's going back to the stage thing. It's called IntelliStage. They make all the stages for rock bands.
Okay.
I have the 3 foot by 3 foot with 8-inch riser. Hilarious story. I think you were there when Derek Stroop did the pre-festival show 2022, and I bought the wrong size riser. It was too big because it was cheaper. And so people had to like vault up onto it, but get the 8-inch riser. It comes in 2 pieces. The thing's great. Very compact, bulletproof. I love it. I can't say good things about it.
And it has like carpet on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
people do sometimes make jokes about how small it is, but I mean, I've had everybody perform on it. It's great. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it.
Well, yeah, thanks for saying that. That's that's exactly. I was looking at a lot of stages, but they have those like lawn chair leg things, and I don't want that. I want to put a skirt around it.
And these, I mean, you can put it up and take it down in no time.
Okay. And that's not a bad price.
No, they're cheap. They're pretty inexpensive.
Nowadays, anything under $1,000, I'm like, that's not a bad price because I've spent way too much money.
So tell me about, we got about 10 minutes left. Tell me about filming. How do you film in this small space? Like you can't set up a big tripod, right? Or can you?
Yeah, I put a tripod in the back. I have this curtain I built. That's kind of a closet where I put my refrigerator, I'll put all my merch. I'll put all my like cables and stuff like that back there. Stuff you don't want people to see. So I put it behind the curtain, but I have a curtain because I wanted to wrap the curtain around the lens. So you can't even see the camera back there because I don't want chairs to mess with it. If I expand, hopefully after the new year, tear down this wall, then I'd have a multi-cam setup of some sorts. But in the meantime, I have my Blackmagic camera behind the thing, and I also realize like one camera is enough, especially for someone to get a tape for a festival. You don't need to have a multi-cam setup; it just turns out too much, and then people don't get their tape right away. And that's kind of my motto: is you need your tape next day or the day after that, or else you're going to forget about it. So
right. Have you thought about hanging cameras from the ceiling at all?
I don't. Everyone does that. I don't do that because it reminds me of a prison cam. I just don't like working at Comedy Works for so long. Everyone complained about the angle. Everyone complained about the camera. If I have a high-end camera, I don't want it to be face down a lot. You don't ever see a special that's face down. If you do, that's
maybe the audience. Like one face in the audience could be good.
Yeah, we've done some with like GoPros. Yeah, we've done stuff with GoPros. We've done some certain stuff, but I'm not a big overhead guy.
Okay.
So I just try to keep it level. Audio, I have 3 crowd mics. I have 2 crowd mics in the front. I spend a ridiculous amount of money on. I have another one back here. I'm trying to get that one maneuvered to where it sounds really good. But in my room, a lot of comics hang in the back, and it sounds really annoying. So I always record it. I just don't use it very often because I hear comics complaining about their spouse.
Does it all connect into a Zoom?
No, I have a soundboard set up. So I have a soundboard that I put in the back. I built a little riser for it to put on top of the fridge, so it kind of has an angle versus like flat. So that way my intern or whoever's working the show can see it and work on it perfectly. So yeah.
Nice. So, and how do you record? Does the soundboard record? Can you put like a USB stick into the soundboard?
So yeah, it takes an SD card.
Okay.
However, I noticed that when you plug the SD card in, it doesn't record at the same rate as your video. So, and it took me a while. I couldn't figure it out. I had 3 sound engineers coming to look at it. Guitar Center had no idea. The company said, we don't know. So I end up running a lot of my audio from my board into my Zoom, because in that way I can really maneuver my board. And the Zoom is, everyone, as a podcast studio, I use the Zoom all the time. I've used the board. I've used multiple things. I've probably been through 4 boards, and I'm like, I'm just going to use the Zoom because I can travel with it. It sounds great. Everything's done in post-production anyway. So.
Yeah. And it's got its own mics too. Sometimes if something fails, you got an extra sound.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So,
how about ticketing and marketing in general? How are butts and seats? Has it ebbed and flowed, or it sounds like you started with a bang?
Yeah. So I get a lot of regulars from around the neighborhood. It's a very retail and, how do you say, like a retail and livable neighborhood. Like there's some houses, there's apartments across the street, which is awesome for me because I just throw stuff on their doors. I have some houses on the backside, but on this entire street, it's all retail. So all the parking's retail. So I like to pass out flyers to local businesses. I'm saying, hey, there's a special promo code for your business. If you get 10 sales, then I will give your company a shout out on a very professional camera and audio. And we'll do a clip for you. I do have a neighbor who hates our shows, and we're going through a little problem with him right now. But I've caught him taking my flyers off of everything.
Is there a noise ordinance or anything like that you have to comply with?
No, I think every city, I think there's a noise ordinance, but my shows end at 10:30. But there is no noise coming out of my room. It's a comedy show. It's cool how dampening it is when you're outside.
Nice.
Because I love to go outside and like cool off or kind of take it in and be like, there's a comedy show running in there right now full of people. It's rules. Never would have thought it happened. But he was basically saying we sell an alcohol called Liquid Death. Shout out to Liquid Death.
Yeah.
So when the city came in, the city's like, hey, we know you have a Karen in the neighborhood because we know what Liquid Death is. However, we need to make sure you have a permit. Didn't know you needed a permit
to sell water.
Comedy shows.
Or for comedy shows, like
for
a burlesque thing.
They were super cool out there. They're like, you don't look like a bar. We actually have someone who's been to your show, that loved your show. So we were a big supporter of your show, which is awesome to hear. But we still need to make sure you have a permit. So right now I'm in the process of getting things. I just sent my blueprints off to get zoning application stuff. You have to get your fingerprints analyzed by the FBI to make sure you're not a felon or something.
Okay.
But my work neighbor who has his retail spot next door, he's an architect, and he told me the whole process. Like, they're going to approve it. You're going to be good. They're going to do an inspection. They're going to see this place rules. They're going to see it's cool. But at least you have the permit you can put on the door somewhere.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
the first comedy show we bring back, I'm going to use the permit as the show flyer,
Nice.
and then put them all around the neighborhood. So
That's awesome. Do you think they might increase or decrease your capacity at all? Is that part of the?
no, because I had my business zoned before, not for comedy. This is why I was like, I wish I'd known this a year ago when I was doing shows. Is when I got it zoned, they said that I could fit up to 63 people. So that's why I say the number 63. I only sit 60. I only tap out 60. One show we did have 63 people, and I was like, we're not doing this ever again. So once I see it gets to 55, I sell it out, and then I let walk-ins come up because we get some good walk-ins, or we'll do some barking. I have no problem going down to Ephemeral down the corner and bark and say, hey guys, you guys want to come to a show? 15, 20 bucks, whatever the ticket is, come hang out, and bring your beer, and hang out with us. So
Nice.
it's cool because the room is very controlled. It's not a place where people are going to get hammered.
Right.
Even like Don't Tell worried me because the amount of booze people will bring. They'll bring wine bottles, champagne bottles. I see more people. I don't let them leave their stuff either. I see more people probably sober at our shows excited about the Liquid Death that's free versus being like, if we have a cooler full of beer that we offer, or we have a cooler full of Liquid Death, we fly to the Liquid Death, and I will have beer for a month just trying to get people to use it.
Right.
So we'll run events with a partner, like some sponsors and stuff like that. I'm like, I have beer. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So
Nice. We only got a couple minutes. Anything I haven't asked about you want to talk about?
No, this room's very unique and cool, and that's the way I want to keep it. If I ever expanded, it'd just be a little bit. But it is a cool place to see, like, musicians, stuff like that. A place to see someone big you never expected to see them. A place that's fun to laugh in. It's got low ceilings. It's tight, which is cool. And it's a fun hangout after or before. It's just it's a good place to see comedy.
Is there a website for your location?
I'm revamping my website now. I've been working on it for the last month. I know what I want it to look like. I'm learning how to make it look that way. It's kind of like Photoshop. You're really doing very intricate, creative things as Photoshop and like those Adobe programs. So I'm working on it. I don't want to put up a website I don't like. I might get a calendar up as soon as our permit comes in, just so people can click on the link and go to Fanimal where we run our tickets through. But other than that, like, we're doing pretty well without the website. I haven't been in a hurry to do the website, but I'm getting to a point where I'm tired of working on it. So I just kind of got to make up my mind, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you know?
We got a question online. Can you talk about the dude IDK? I think just explain like what your business name is.
Yeah. So when I used to manage Comedy Works for several years, and I was doing photographs and marketing for them also. And Jessica Kirsten, who is one of the best comics ever, she came through town, and we were in the green room. She goes, "That photo you took last night was my favorite photo ever taken of me. You don't want to be a manager forever. You don't want to run shows. Do you want to, like, you should think about being a photographer and going on tour and doing these things." And I thought, yeah, it'd be cool to start my own business doing this stuff, because it was right before the pandemic started. I was very tapped out. The rumors of things shutting down. I didn't want to work for certain people that run certain clubs in town. So Jessica Kirsten's like, I was like, I don't want to run a normal media company. All their names are super weird and cheesy. And she goes, "What would you name it?" And I was like, you know what? I always admire the people who come off the first thing off the top of their head. And she goes, "What's the first thing off the top of your head?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know." And she goes, "That's catchy. Think about that." Yeah. So I filed the LLC that night, made a quick logo, the smiley logo, which you see all over my walls. I want it to be like the Target logo. When you see the smiley, you know what it goes to. Hopefully one day that keeps going. I saw her in New York at the Comedy Cellar Christmas party. I was like, "Jessica, I made my business that night, and I never really told you." She goes, "I follow you. I know. I get it. It's really cool what you're doing." So Adam, we filmed the comedy special in the studio, which is nuts. One of his clients, David Borey, he's also the manager of Jessica Kirsten. So I told him, I was like, "Hey, I started the business because of her. If she ever pops through town, we'd love to do a secret show around her." So that would be really cool to have, like, some of my favorite comic icons performing in a room that you'd never expect to see them.
That's so cool. So Mini Comedy Club, Nick in Denver, Dude IDK Studios. Check them out. Where do people follow you on Instagram?
Dude 1DK. Dude IDK is taken, and I've tried to reach out to the person. They're non-existent. So Dude 1DK.
At Dude 1DK. I'm gonna try offline. I'm gonna try and schedule you for like 4 or 6 months from now because I got 100 more questions to ask you.
Cool.
And we got kind of compressed on time. Thanks, man. Really appreciate your wisdom. Thanks everybody who tuned in online. We'll be back next Monday. Everybody have a great week.